our next speaker for his presentation, giving us an overview of the China kernel market in 2026 and beyond.
So I'm here talking about China a little bit. What we have seen is, we all know that China has become now the biggest importer of cashew kernels. But what has happened, if you look at the last year, is the whole tariff situation which has played out. There are reciprocal tariffs on pistachios and almonds. And if you look at the almond and pistachio numbers, they have kind of come down. And that's a gap in the market which cashews have kind of filled in. And that's why you see cashew consumption in China going the way it is today. So China consumption increased by almost 40%. Never seen before. 40% over a year is a huge number. So of course there is a part of tariff, but other than that, there is also a part where the cashew consumption in general is getting better. If you look at 180s, I think that's probably one of the most beloved SKUs in China. And we have seen that Chinese traders becoming more and more aggressive on Cambodia, trying to gather as much as they can. And there's been a fierce competition on Cambodia RCN early in the season. Let's have a look at the overall global cashew consumption, right? The cashew consumption grew last year by almost 6%. But you look at three notable markets, US, which was down by almost 24%, but US plus Canada was down almost 20% here. China was up 40%. At the same time, even Middle East was up by almost 25%. So there's been a growth story as far as cashew consumption is concerned all across the board, but I think China has kind of dominated all of that. And I think that's a trend which is going to kind of continue. Are we going to see another year with 40%? Probably no, because that step change which has happened last year, but we'll probably see early double-digit or high single-digit growth in next 5 to 6 years, in my opinion. There's one interesting thing when we talk about China demand and everything which is happening in China. If you look at all the new launches which have happened in China, China is still way behind probably India and US and a lot of other markets. So the innovation or the new SKUs which are coming up are still on the lower side. And given the population of China, if these kind of pick up in coming days, so we are in for a ride. And I think from the consumption or demand point of view, it's going to be a great story. So you look at this, China has probably had kind of lesser SKUs which they have launched. It's only 8.6%, dominated by your with skins, a lot of coatings, scrap coatings and everything. But I think that's a market which is now ready for disruption. So there's going to be more and more innovation on this side, and we are going to see a splurge in demand. Moving on to my conclusion, I think one clear thing which is there for all of us is the China demand is here to stay. As far as Vietnam industry is concerned, I think that's a market where we have to service. It's right next door to Vietnam, and that's a market which we have been good at. So I think for Vietnam also, it's a good story that the whole Cambodia and China play kind of keeps the factories running, kind of keeps the cost down, and that kind of helps the overall industry. So that's something which is going to continue. We are probably going to see 8 to 10% growth in next 3 to 4 years for sure. The only caveat is that the whole tariff thing doesn't change a lot. If the retrospective tariffs in China go down on other tree nuts, we might see a different regime coming in. And if pistachios prices were to come down, there might be again an affinity towards that. But as of today, that doesn't look likely. So I think the cashew demand is something which is going to continue to grow. I think the other thing which has been talk of the town is on skin cashews. The largest SKU in China today, almost 70% of cashew demand is on that SKU. It started with 180s, it has moved on to 240s and other grades as well. So I think that is something which is going to continue. There is a favorable policy in China, in Guangxi, which kind of supports that. It kind of further lowers the cost down. And I think that's a model which has worked till now, and I think it will continue to work in future. And as long as that model is there, I think it's going to be good news for Cambodia and Vietnam, where a lot of Cambodia raw nuts come into Vietnam, get processed, and then finally get exported to China. The last part is probably on the innovation side. So I kind of touched a little bit about this, but I think that's a market which is ready for disruption. So there is going to be more ingredient usage. It is going to move beyond snacking, and I think we are going to see a major jump in demand. So all in all, I think China is something which is going to continue growing. We are going to see better and better growth. Probably not 40%, but this is a market which is there for disruption. It's going to continue to grow. The per capita consumption is very low. if you look at India versus China, the China demand per capita is 1/4 of India. So I think that's a market which is slightly richer, is going to consume more nuts, and I think we are going to see a good growth. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for Mr. Jayant.